first, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
And now at 5, a historic weather alert. We have seen temperatures around the area unlike we have ever seen and ever experienced in our lifetime.
Yeah, many of you seeing wind chills near 50 below zero today. WSBT 22 has team coverage as our blast of bitter cold continues. Brooke O'Daniel is in one of the hardest hit areas, St. Joseph, looking at conditions.
Yeah, and Lauren Becker joined local animal control officials looking to protect pets in the cold. But first, let's get over to meteorologist Abby Wepler. Abby.
I mean, we did break a record today, so it has been that record-breaking cold. Temperatures right now, most of us still double digits below. It's 14 below in South Bend, also in Niles. Little bit warmer, I'm using that term very loosely, along the lakeshore in Berrien County, where you have those lake effect clouds, for example. But look at Elkhart, look at Sturgis, 11 below, 13 below in Goshen, 11 below in Warsaw. Winds have been a huge issue today, blowing and drifting snow, especially those of us along the lakeshore, around 15 miles an hour with lake effect snow. You've had a mess in Berrien County, and we're fully aware of that. Winds about 5 to 15 miles per hour. These will continue to die down tonight. Great news there. However, temperatures will fall farther tonight than what they did last night. Wind chills right now, mainly in the 20 to 30 below range. It's 39 below in South Bend. It feels like 33 below in Plymouth and Warsaw when you factor in the winds. This is the record we broke today. This is for the record low temperature on this date. The old one was 13 below. We fell actual air temperature 20 below zero this morning. So we set a new record. Here were our record lows across other portions of the area. 18 below in Elkhart, 21 below in Plymouth, 8 below in Benton Harbor, and 14 below in Sturgis. So I know the next question is, when do we warm up? When do we get a break from this? Well, dangerous cold lasts through tomorrow afternoon. Friday, we're back to 20, and we have 30 and 40s for the upcoming weekend. As we start to warm tomorrow night, though, in exchange comes widespread system snow. How much we're expecting, that's in minutes.
Abby, thank you. And for those of you in Michigan, it's not just the cold. Lake effect snow creating some really tough conditions there.
Yeah, this is a live look in South Haven, and we've been watching this shot go in and out because of probably the blowing snow. We've seen the winds really picking up, and at times you don't see a thing on this shot. Pier not even visible at times. WSBT 22's Brooke O'Daniel is in Berrien County, where plow drivers are really working hard to keep up.
This truck right here covered in snow as plow drivers have been working around the clock in sometimes whiteout conditions to try and keep the roadways clear. Whiteout conditions are causing driving issues in Berrien County. And for those that do venture out, many of them are getting stuck. Due to the blowing and drifting snow, some roads are completely closed. And the cold has caused the hydraulic system to freeze on some of the plows.
Right now, it's visibility. I think people might see a plow truck go by and go, oh, good, my road's open. And then they want to go out and go to the grocery store or run some errands or do something. And then they realize that they can't see.
Now, all of the officials I've spoken with, they're all hopeful that the expected increase in temperatures for this weekend will finally provide a much-needed break for everyone from this severe weather. In Berrien County, Brooke O'Daniel, WSBT 22 News.
We just want to make sure that people understand the severity of the weather out there and that they are prepared. It's not just the person who's risking it by getting outside. It is other people that are first responders who may have to show up on the scene. And so it's important that people understand the magnitude of the issue.
And there you see Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer getting a first-hand look at efforts to keep you safe in the bitter cold. Right now, the entire state of Michigan under a state of emergency. Whitmer says she's been in contact with the Trump administration even about this situation. Many of you have reached out to us asking why other parts of the area are not being placed under a state of emergency.
Yeah, we had the chance to ask South Bend Police Chief Scott Ruskowski about what goes into making that decision.
There's many moving parts that are involved. It's not just the mayor, it's not just one person that makes that decision. It is multiple agencies. So they measure our resources, our capabilities, and our capacities, put everybody's together, and see what we can do and what we absolutely cannot do. And then that's when the decision is made, if we can't go anymore. And again, we're talking people's lives in jeopardy. That's where the decision's made.
Now, if you find yourself in need of help, officials ask you only call 911 if you have an emergency. You should call the non-emergency line or South Bend's 311 line with other questions and concerns. And you know, it's not only our lives in danger during this record-breaking cold, but also our pets.
That's right. South Bend Animal Care and Control is urging everyone, bring your pets inside even if they're normally outside. WSBT 22's Lauren Becker is at the live desk right now. Lauren, if pets are not brought in, there will be consequences.
Yeah, Jennifer, South Bend Animal Care and Control is going around the city seizing any pets left unattended. Some owners are even refusing to bring them inside, and that's when humane officers are stepping in to rescue the animals.
South Bend Animal Care and Control, how can I help you?
Phones ringing off the hook as people call in about pets left outside in these brutally cold temperatures.
There's no question that these are life-threatening conditions for animals.
Life-threatening conditions, but pet owners still refusing to bring their pets inside. That's why South Bend's Animal Care and Control is stepping in to help.
No, definitely. Yeah. Keep an eye on that.
We call South Bend Police to stand by, and we seize the animals and bring them back to the shelter.
These dogs seized from homes and brought back to the shelter from unbearable living conditions. No food, frozen water, and minimal shelter. This dog lost her ear from frostbite.
We seized the 3 yesterday morning, and they basically jumped into the truck because of how cold they were.
3 animals seized last week, 8 just yesterday, and the numbers keep rising.
We are very full right now, but we will make room in other parts of the shelter in order to house them temporarily.
You're right.
When it's colder than Antarctica outside, it's time to bring the pets inside. Even if they have thick fur, Animal Care and Control says your pet is not acclimated to the sudden extreme cold.
The misconception is they have fur, which essentially that's no different than us going outside in a jacket.
Bottom line, bring your pets inside.
Oh, just a good girl.
Yeah. Just why own a dog? Why own a dog if you're going to keep it outside and not happen in the house?
To reclaim your pet, you have to provide proof of rabies vaccinations and pay boarding fees at Animal Care and Control. If dogs are not reclaimed, they will either be sent to a rescue shelter or put up for adoption. At the live desk, Lauren Becker, WSBT 22 News.
That is heartbreaking, Lauren. You know, you won't find anything in your mailbox today, all thanks to the bitter cold. USPS suspending deliveries in parts of 8 states to protect carriers. No word yet on if service will begin again tomorrow or if it will be delayed once again. And Todd, the big fear for mail carriers or anyone else outside is frostbite.
Yeah, Jennifer, our team of meteorologists has been telling us all week long it will take just minutes to get frostbite in these conditions. Experts say the consequences of frostbitten fingers or toes is certainly no joke.
The long-term risk is infection, chronic discoloration of the affected areas, and even potentially, as scary as it is, amputation of those areas.
Now, experts say if you must be outside, make sure all of your body is covered by some sort of clothing and layer up if possible. Also, make sure to limit the time you are outdoors. And remember, we have details for you on resources available all across the area as we continue to battle this bitter cold. You can find all of that and the latest on our chilly forecast. Just head to our website, WSBT.com.
Happening right now, high-level talks are underway in Washington looking to put an end to the trade war between the U.S. and China. The White House accusing China of stealing trade secrets and says the talks are extremely complex. Tonight, the two sides are far apart, but if they don't reach an agreement by March 2nd, the Trump administration is set to hike tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese imports. Also happening now, the clock is ticking and another government shutdown is looming.
Now, WSBT 22 chief political correspondent Scott Thuman is in Washington, where key negotiators from both parties sat down today searching for compromise.
Trying desperately to avoid another shutdown and the anger and criticism that comes with one.
Hey! Now!
Lawmakers from both sides met for the first time in this renewed effort to negotiate a long-term spending bill.
I think the conference can reach a good result, left to its own devices without interference from anybody else.
But the pressure is on. Funding runs out again in just over 2 weeks.
Well, these are difficult issues. You know, people stake out their sides in negotiations, and my hope is that we can look and say, where's the win-win in all of this?
Success, though, is anything but guaranteed. Here at the White House, the president has said the chances are less than 50-50 that Congress will come up with a deal he'd agree to. His team telling us Democrats have to find money for a border barrier. Now, that would require some flexibility on behalf of Democrats. Will we see likewise flexibility from the president?
Well, again, the president has already shown flexibility. He has shown compromise. So when Speaker Pelosi got stuck with, it's a concrete wall, we don't want a concrete wall, the wall is immoral, the president said, steel slats.
They claim they also conceded by offering protections for some undocumented immigrants already here. Is the White House okay with the idea of another shutdown?
Nobody wants a shutdown.
But with so much uncertainty, some lawmakers are trying to come up with safety nets to automatically extend spending during budget battles.
That basically takes off the table the potential of a government shutdown in the future.
And they're also talking incentives like suspending pay for the president and Congress during a shutdown. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
A possible presidential run means the national spotlight is now shining brightly on South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
That's right, all new. He will soon be getting the chance to tell the nation why he's pursuing a run to the White House.
I'm Nora O'Donnell. Tomorrow, South Bend, Indiana mayor and likely presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg will be here in Studio 57. That's tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
All right, Nora, thank you very much. And back here at 5, our team coverage of this bitter and historic cold continues next on WSBT 22.
And many of you stepping outside today to try this, creating snow in seconds with boiling water. And I'll show you another experiment demonstrating just how cold it is outside.
Meteorologist Abby Wepler is here. Abby, this cold, record-breaking.
It was this morning. We set a new record for low temperatures on this day. The old one was 13. We fell to 20 below and only made it to 6. Another brutal night is in store with the cold, and then I'm tracking system snow. How much we're expecting by tomorrow night, that's coming up.
First to cover breaking news with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. Your accurate first alert weather forecast with meteorologist Abby Wepler. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
Well, the bitter cold keeping many of you at home today.
Yeah, you've seen the numbers, but new at 5, meteorologist Ed Russo is here with an experiment demonstrating just how cold the Arctic air really is.
So with temperatures 15 to 20 below zero, it obviously doesn't take water very long to freeze. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this shirt, which is dry, and we're going to take this boiling water. I'm going to come over to this drain, and I'm going to pour the boiling water all over the shirt. The reason I'm using boiling water is because hot water freezes faster than cold water. You see that steam? That's evaporation. Evaporation is a cooling process, therefore the water gets colder much faster. That's why when you're making ice cubes, instead of using cold water in the freezer, in an ice tray you want to put warm water. All right, so now I'm going to bring this wet shirt out here, expose it to the cold, and I'm just going to swing it around like that. Now the reason I'm swinging it is because you're basically putting more wind on the shirt, and wind also increases evaporation. And with temperatures this cold, it's not going to take long for the end of this shirt to freeze like a solid rock. There you go, you see that? That probably took only 30 seconds. I went a little longer than that, but you can see the ice crystals forming on the shirt. And just a minute ago, this was boiling water. Again, hot water freezes faster than cold water. And on, again, a day like this with near record cold, or record cold, I should say, that's what you get in just a short amount of time.
That is why it's dangerous out there. But for many of you, this is day 2 home with your kids because of the snow and the bitter cold. So how are you staying busy? Todd is with WSBT 22's Dane Murray. There are ways to stay entertained at home and not go outside.
Jen, I took the time today to check how cold it was inside with all the bitter cold outside. So here's what I found. Check this out. I had my little gun, my temperature gun, you can see it there, and I went around my house, and this is what I found. My bathtub, a chilly 36 degrees. Coffee pot, 163, so that kept me going. Inside the fridge, 37. Toilet seat, 55 degrees.
No one wants to sit on that.
And of course, under the comforter, 72, so that was not so bad.
You had a busy morning.
Yes.
And you weren't the only one. You know, schools are helping to keep families busy as well. Take a look at this. This teacher at Hums Elementary School in Mishawaka, he told his students to play Fortnite. But don't worry, it gets better. He then asked the students to write a story about their Fortnite adventure and then spend some time reading as well.
Well, that makes sense, I guess. All right, and some other kids are spending their off days trying their hands at our jobs. Check this out.
Good morning. It is 11:10, and now for the weather. Hello, folks. There will be 0 chance of rain outside, but there might be a lot of snow. This has been Mark Duty on WSBT 22, First Warning News.
So cute. How great is that, guys? Cameron and his sister Taylor are sure to be on WSBT 22 one day. We want to see how you have been staying busy during your days off as well. You can snap a photo or video and post it to our Facebook page.
I love them. They did so great.
They even had it down first in the morning news.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, if you want, just as soon as tomorrow, if you want to come take a shot at this, it's been an easy week in the weather office. Nobody will even know you're there.
Yeah, no problem.
Whew, all right, well, we are talking about bitter cold, though, overnight tonight, and then behind it, we're going to be talking about system snow this time tomorrow. Just one thing after another. I'm going to have that forecast for you coming up next.
Now, your accurate First Alert weather forecast with meteorologist Abby Wepler.
Boy, there's no messing around with these temperatures.
No,
I mean, spent any time outside.
It was hard to breathe walking from the car
that's no joke.
to the station. That's how rough it was this morning. Look at some of these wind chills that we recorded. South Bend, the wind chill got to 48 below. Same in Bremen. Mentone, you were around 52 below. Warsaw, 47 below. The closer you got to the lake, we actually had St. Joseph, you were a tad warmer. You were in the low 30s due to the lake effect clouds that you've been dealing with. We know you've been dealing with lake effect snow. Here's actual air temperatures right now. We dropped to 20 below, set that record for coldest low temperature on this day, and now we're at 14 below. Same in Niles, 7 below in Benton Harbor, 11 below in Warsaw, and the same goes in Knox. So yes, the dangerous cold is continuing tonight. Want to talk about winds right now because they are starting to die down, which is phenomenal news. We're going to see the winds lighten up a bit tonight. This helps in a couple of reasons. Of course, the wind chills, like I just showed you, but also our friends in Southwest Michigan, especially Berrien County, you have been dealing with some pretty nasty lake effect snow. The blowing and drifting snow is also a concern. This will help. Earlier today, you had wind speeds over 25 miles per hour, already knocked down to 15 miles per hour. So wind speeds tonight, about 10 to 20 miles per hour, not as strong as last night. So wind chill values, although they're technically going to be the same tomorrow morning as they were this past morning, it's because the air temperature is going to be colder. So not really much of an exchange, but it's just something you need to be aware of. Wind chills right now, you can see about 39 below in South Bend, 33 below in Warsaw, Plymouth, 36 below over in LaPorte. Future wind chills, here we go. So 10 o'clock tonight, most of us about 25 to 35 below. Overnight, our actual air temperature gets even colder. Tomorrow morning we wake up, wind chills are still 25 to 35 below by late morning. We get into later in the day. This is what I want to show you. Everybody's asking, when do we get this relief? Tomorrow evening, temperatures keep warming, so that's going to help. Overnight, we continue to get warmer into Friday. That's when the relief in the temperatures happen, as you can see with those future wind chills. So much so that I expect by Friday morning, some of us will be close to being around the positive side, which from where we've been, that's a huge step. Here's South Bend, First Alert weather camera provided by St. Joseph Health Systems. We do have clear skies here. I know that is not the case, of course, for much of Berrien County, who's been dealing with lake effect snow. But when we're talking about our hour-by-hour forecast, we have a new record that we're keeping an eye on, and it would actually be an all-time record cold. The current one is 22 below. We are predicting a low of 24 below. That's the actual air temperature we expect to wake up to tomorrow morning. What did we wake up to this past morning? 20 below. So tomorrow morning, we're looking at 24 below. It is going to start to get pretty quiet, though. The lake effect in southwest Michigan, that is going to improve. Here right now, storm tracker radar, pretty quiet for the most part. You can see it just to our north, but we're still checking in our network of sky cams. We still see snow and blowing and drifting snow in extreme northern Berrien County, and that will continue to improve by tomorrow. I do want to show you, though, we have a system heading our way. So in the short term, it's still the lake effect. Berrien County, for example, you could see another 2 to 4 inches of snow, mainly the northern portion. It shuts off tomorrow. Here comes that system, though. Look at this system snow tomorrow evening into very early on Friday. What are we expecting? It is going to accumulate 3 to 4 inches the farther southwest you live, 2 to 3 inches right kind of in the heart of Michiana, 1 to 2 the farther northeast you live. So in exchange of the warmer air does come some system snow. Tomorrow's highs, we make it in the positive in the evening because we keep warming, and then we take a look at Friday. We're at 20 for an afternoon high. That 40-degree weather, though, is heading here for this weekend. Our forecast for tonight, though, lake effect snow, all-time record-breaking cold, 24 is what we're watching to break the old record of 22. Tomorrow, we'll make it to about 6 in the afternoon, 6 below, I should say, and then warm as the evening goes on. Next couple of days, you can see system snow tomorrow night into early Friday, 30s on Saturday. I mean, look at Monday. Raise your hand if you're excited. 50-degree weather, even though it comes with rain. Jennifer, Todd?
I think we both put maybe 2 hands up for that.
Yeah, very excited, yes.
Our team coverage of the historic bitter cold continues next on WSBT 22. It's a nightmare situation. You come home to find your pipes frozen.
Yeah, so what do you do next? Well, we talked to the experts about how to minimize the damage. Plus,
millions will tune in to the Super Bowl at home. I'm Hillary Lane with Consumer Reports recommendations for the best TVs to watch the big game.
You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
all right, you are looking live in South Bend where the sun is setting on one of the coldest days in history. It's kind of deceiving because it looks warm, but if you must head outside, make sure to bundle up and put blankets, food, and extra clothes in your car in case of an emergency. And a small way to say thanks to emergency crews in South Bend, the Chick-fil-A in Erskine Commons giving free meals to first responders working around the clock to keep our community safe. Just stop by the restaurant today in your uniform anytime between now and 8 to take advantage of that deal. Very nice.
All right, let's go live now to Atlanta, courtesy of our CBS affiliate there, CBS 46. That's Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which will soon play host to Super Bowl 53. And if you're not shelling out thousands of dollars to watch that game in person there in Atlanta, you can watch it Sunday night right here on WSBT 22.
But if you want the best view, you'll need a good TV, right? New at 5, Hillary Lane spoke with experts on choosing the best screen for game day.
If you're in the market for a new TV, there's good news.
TVs have gotten bigger, but they've also gotten less expensive.
Consumer Reports' Jim Wilcox put out his picks for the best Super Bowl TV deals and says it's a good time to buy.
We did a study a year ago and saw that in the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, TVs were 22% cheaper.
TVs today are almost all very thin and smart, with streaming apps built in. What separates the new models is how they look and sound. For people willing to spend around $2,300, this LG OLED TV is one of the highest rated.
So it's got great picture quality, it has excellent sound quality, it has an unlimited viewing angle. So if you were to move off to the side of this TV, you would see the same picture as a person sitting in front of it.
This Vizio Quantum Series model is a little more affordable at around $1,500.
So a good mid-price TV for people.
Yeah, so they're trying to deliver that higher performance at a more, mid-level price point.
For those looking to spend less than $1,000, Consumer Reports recommends this 65-inch Samsung.
For a lot of people, this is a great set at a great price.
Most new TVs offer a higher resolution 4K picture, even though there is very little 4K content available. And TV makers are stepping up picture quality even more with 8K models.
8K just doesn't make sense. They're extremely pricey. We're just catching up with 4K content, so there's no 8K content.
Wilcox says if you're willing to wait, prices on today's best TVs will continue to drop. Hillary Lane, CBS News, Yonkers, New York.
Our team coverage of this record-breaking cold continues next on WSBT 22. We're going to see how power officials are working to make sure the lights and the heat stay on in your home.
Yeah, very important. Plus, we're not the only ones seeing this Arctic air. How this big blast winter is impacting much of the Midwest. That's next at 5:30.
First, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5:30.
It's here. The bitter cold we have been warning you about has arrived and in full force. Wind chills in some areas reaching 50 below zero today. WSBT 22 has team coverage tonight.
Right. Caitlin Connon is talking with experts about the cold's impact on power grids in the area. But first, let's get over to Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin. So, Matt, how much longer are we going to be dealing with these conditions?
It's all relative, right? We're going to be really bitter cold probably for the next 36 to 48 hours before things improve. Here's live look at South Bend. Let me go on this side of the screen. Look at the beautiful sunshine. When you get this real cold, you know, we've all at this point have dealt with it for a couple hours. You get what are called sun dogs. You can kind of I'm going to go on this side now. Kind of see it here. Our cameras are having a hard time, but you see these big, almost like halos around the sun. These are ice crystals that are floating around the lower part of the atmosphere that refract or bend the sun's light, and you get these sun dogs, what we call them. At nighttime, you can get light pillars or ice pillars, beams of light that get refracted or bent up. So some cool little physics there when it's really cold. There's the Wajak. At least you get some sunshine up that way. Our friends in St. Joe, Watervliet up towards Decatur and Hartford. I know you're still getting lake effect snow. The radar doesn't show it. I know it's up there and it's blowing around. It's been like near blizzard conditions for you for about 24 hours. It has been very rough. The rest of us, record-breaking cold. We broke today's low temperature record in the middle of the day. If that doesn't tell you how impressive this is, to see these numbers in the middle of the day is essentially unheard of for this area. Remarkable cold. We've been talking about wind chill values. The good news is the wind's slowly starting to die down. The bad news is when that happens, actual air temperatures can get even lower during the overnight hours because you don't have the mixing from the upper atmosphere. So I am going way below computer guidance. I really think we're going to beat the all-time record cold at any hour on any day in South Bend since the 1800s. Has been 22 below zero. I think tomorrow morning it'll go in the books as the coldest day ever here since records began. So if you've lived here your whole life, this will be the coldest temperatures. I'm thinking we'll see tomorrow morning since you've been born or you've been here. We will chat about that. We're going to keep looking ahead to when we warm up and talk a little bit of snow as well. That's in your forecast in a bit.
All right, Matt, although all of our area is suffering from the brutal cold, those of you in Michigan are also seeing a lot of snow, creating tough whiteout conditions on the roads. WSBT 22's Brooke O'Daniel is talking with officials on efforts to keep the roads clear and people warm. She'll have an update coming up for you at 6. And take a look at this. It's Indiana-Michigan Power's outage map. You can see right there a couple of places. Although things are mostly clear right now, I&M has struggled to keep up with the bitter cold.
Right around South Bend, nearly 1,500 people were without power. That was this morning. WSBT 22's Caitlin Connon is at the live desk right now. And Caitlin, that includes homes and businesses.
I spoke to a homeowner who says his power was only off for about an hour and a half, but in that time, the temps in his house dropped to 59 degrees. Students at Holy Cross also had a rude, chilly awakening. They were evacuated from their residence halls when the power went out this morning. The students were shuttled to Notre Dame's North Dining Hall to keep warm. The power is back on now, and those students will return to their dorms once the buildings have warmed up. Crews with I&M say they will be at work all through the night to make sure that power stays on.
If there's a power outage, they're going to respond at a moment's notice, and we're going to work as quickly and safely as possible, given the weather conditions, to ensure that our customers have the power that they need so they are comfortable through this cold snap.
Garrett says I&M is not disconnecting anyone's power during these outages. Obviously, the power company crews were exposed to some dangerous temperatures trying to get that power back on. Hear how they're keeping themselves safe coming up at 6. At the live desk, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
And the bitter cold not just impacting our region. On the left, new video of the Philadelphia skyline where the cold is just now moving in. And on the right, video out of Chicago where temperatures today were the lowest they have been there since 1985. And Todd, the cold creating problems for travelers in Chicago.
Yeah, for sure, Jennifer. Hundreds of flights were canceled today in and out of the airports, including to the South Bend International Airport. And you can see several flights were canceled. You can see right there into South Bend today, the majority of them from the Windy City. Another note for travelers, the South Shore suspended service today, both today and tomorrow. And we also just learned mail service will be suspended tomorrow as well. because of that bitter cold. So no matter where you are, though, you can stay up to date with the very latest on the forecast with our WSBT 22 First Alert Weather app. You can download it now for free from the Apple App Store and also on Google Play.
Local firefighters staying busy on a cold morning thanks to this fire. A van going up in flames outside of World Gym in Mishawaka. The outside of the gym was charred in the fire, but the inside was not damaged. No one was hurt. The path to the White House is already proving rocky for Democratic Senator Kamala Harris of California.
And WSBT 22 national correspondent James Rosen reports lawmakers and heavy hitters on both sides of the aisle are taking aim at her call for Medicare for all.
More blowback for Senator Kamala Harris, the California Democrat running for president, following her endorsement of universal health care.
You would have to double people's taxes and double the taxes on business and cut your doctor and hospital reimbursement by 40%, and you still wouldn't pay for it.
Harris endorsed a federal takeover of health insurance nearly 2 years ago, co-sponsoring legislation with independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, an avowed socialist.
Let's give the taxpayers of the United States a better return on their investment, which means Medicare for all.
On Sunday, Harris pledged to, quote, eliminate the private health insurance industry.
The idea is that everyone gets access to medical care, and you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork. Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Among the first to pounce was billionaire Howard Schultz, the former Starbucks CEO, flirting with an independent candidacy.
That's not American. What's next? What industry are we going to abolish next? The coffee industry?
Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, another billionaire mulling a 2020 run, said in New Hampshire that Harris's plan would, quote, bankrupt us.
You're talking about trillions of dollars.
Private health insurance covers more than half of all Americans, and a national survey by ScottRasmussen.com shows 83% of Americans favor a choice between government and private plans.
Only 17%, 1 out of 6 voters, say we should ban private insurance companies. And by the way, only 23% of Democrats are willing to go that far.
And one who is not is Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, another potential 2020 contender, who said in a statement on Wednesday he favors strengthening Obamacare and giving Americans 50 and older the option to use Medicare, quote, if they choose. On Capitol Hill, James Rosen.
All right, now that the bitter cold is here, how is your home holding up? Next, experts weigh in on what to do if you find yourself in need of immediate repairs.
First to cover breaking news with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. Your accurate First Alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin. You're watching WSBT 22.
Brutal cold is definitely here, so how's your home holding up?
Yeah, if you haven't already, experts suggest leaving faucets running to keep them from freezing. Now, if you have a sink against an outside wall, make sure to leave that cabinet open so that warm air from the house can get to those pipes. You can still add insulation to help protect uninsulated areas. And outside, if you haven't disconnected garden hoses, you can do that. Unfortunately, though, since it's already been consistently cold, you may already find you're too late.
If you turn on a faucet and you don't get water coming to the faucet, more than likely there's a pipe somewhere in the house that's frozen. Call right away. You want to get that taken care of before it actually bursts. As that water freezes in the pipes, water expands and will eventually burst the pipe.
Now, James urges people not to use a propane torch or blowtorch. That will likely damage the pipe and even cause a leak. If it's one line under the bathroom or kitchen sink, he says you may be able to use a hairdryer in order to thaw it out. Well, today, day 2 for many of you stuck at home with your kids.
We asked how your home is holding up. How are you holding up? WSBT 22's Dane Murray is here right now, and a lot of people have some pretty creative ideas.
Yeah, you guys, they do. Take a look at this. Samantha sent us this picture of her son just camping out in the living room. Not a care in the world. So cute. And then Christy sent us this. How cute is this? Daddy, daughter having a tea party. That is adorable. And then finally, you have to take a look at this. Oh my goodness, how cute. This is from Tara. She sent this photo of her daughter, and they used this photo shoot to pretend it's summer inside their home. Can't blame them. Isn't that great? All right, well, we want to see how else you are all staying busy tonight. Right now, you can hop on Facebook and send us your pictures to our Facebook page.
All right, like the creativity, Dane, thanks. Let's head over now to Matt. And Matt, will that cold be moving out anytime soon?
I mean, it's all relative, right? Soon's going to be probably late tomorrow before we start to moderate things. A really rough night tonight, tomorrow morning, as air temperatures will likely dip at or below all-time records for this area, but it does get better. I'll have your full forecast coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Now, your accurate First Alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin.
Hey, take a look at South Haven, provided by our friends over at IT3. Quite the winter storm just north of the state line here.
It wasn't long ago that you couldn't see the pier at all.
Crazy.
It must be from the blowing snow that they're experiencing.
Yeah, well, they're still getting lake effect up there as well. Really, this area is so unique when it comes to winter because literally you could drive 5 minutes and it's completely different. Here's the look right now in Plymouth. Blue sky, clear skies, no good. That's going to allow temperatures to fall quick. There's Bangor, Michigan, so this is just north of the Cass and Van Buren County line. It is a full-fledged winter storm up there thanks to blowing snow, continued new snow from Lake Michigan, and we'll make our way just south of there to Dowagiac, where you're seeing clear skies and sunshine. So it really can vary, and those of you in Michigan, you know this better than anybody. You could drive 5-10 minutes and you go from a blizzard to absolutely nothing. Pretty unique this time of year, and it has substantial differences on temperature because of the clouds. So storm tracker radar is all clear. Those of you in Waterville, Paw Paw Lake, Benton Harbor, St. Joe, Decatur, Hartford, Dowagiac, I know we're just north of Dowagiac. I know this area is seeing snow. It's just not showing up on radar. It's too low to the ground, so the radar can't see it. But it is snowing, and I know those of you up that way have dealt with quite the headaches the past several days. The radar in Grand Rapids can see this, but there's a radar down here by Warsaw and up by Grand Rapids. By the time the beam gets here, it's too high above the snow, so it doesn't see it, and that's why you don't see anything. But our colleagues at the National Weather Service, and we know that it's snowing up there thanks to all of your reports, so that's why you are still under a winter storm warning, Berrien County, until this evening. Obviously, a wind chill warning for everyone else, as wind chill values still just as severe as they were last night, but the actual air temperature will probably be worse because the winds will subside a little bit. These are actual air temperatures, 14 below zero in South Bend. It is actually, we may be the coldest on this map. No, Mason City is a little bit colder. We are second coldest, which in itself is just remarkable. Closer to home, all of us, except for Valpo and right along the lake there in Winamac, it looks like, in the double digits below zero. We'll zoom into the Indiana-Michigan line. Those of you in far northern Indiana, it is extremely cold. This is near this day's record cold temperature in the late afternoon. That in itself tells you something. Still breezy out there, so wind chill values near 40 below zero for most of us. And we'll probably hover around this level overnight, but temperatures will continue to drop and the winds will start to subside a little bit. So wind chill values won't be as bad, but the actual air temperature will probably, if not certainly, be worse than it was this morning. There's some of the lake effect as we head towards tomorrow, but it ends by the afternoon. We talk a system snow late tomorrow afternoon, especially into the evening and overnight, then that pushes away. As far as lake effect, 2, 3, maybe 4 inches again for Benton Harbor, St. Joe, Waterville areas. 1 to 2 once you get around US 12, and then hardly anything, if anything, once you get into Indiana. That little system coming through, maybe 2, 3 inches here in the purple. Some of you down towards Knox and Winamac and areas south and west of South Bend, maybe getting closer to 3 or 4. Very light and fluffy snow. So there's the center of the cold. It is right over us, but it moderates and pushes out of here by the weekend. Then we really start to warm up, at least for a day or two, by early next week. Left number is temperature. Right number is wind chill values. And watch what happens tonight. Again, that actual air temperature gets even colder, minus 25 or so. Wind chill values around 45 below zero. Chicago's dealing with it. Madison's dealing with it as well. There's the winds, but luckily they start to subside a little bit as we head towards tomorrow. Notice not nearly as bad as they are now. Still breezy, don't get me wrong. All-time record is possible tonight. The coldest on any date at any time since the 1800s in South Bend has been 22 below zero. South Bend is the official record station for this area. 24 below zero is what I'm forecasting. With these clear skies, the winds that are starting to subside a little bit, fresh snow, and ridiculously dry air, I don't see how it can't happen. We'll watch it. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be something as we get towards tomorrow morning. So 24 below zero, 6 below by the afternoon. The next several days here, you'll notice temperatures start to moderate. So I know these are kind of backwards, right? Usually the coldest numbers for the day's low. I'm just trying to make this easier to read. So 6 below 0 by the afternoon, but 2 above 0 at nighttime. So temperatures continue warming the whole time, right? And then we're in the 30s, 40s, even 50s by early next week with a decent amount of rain, then 30s thereafter. One thing I want to point out real quick, I'm getting a lot of questions as people look forward about flooding concerns early next week. The snow that's on the ground is pretty dry. There's not a lot of moisture in it. What I'm kind of concerned about is even if we see just a little bit of rain, if any of the rivers start to go up, there's a lot of ice on them, and you can get those ice jams, and that's where you get some problems. But I do not foresee anything like you'll remember last February.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like that.
Hard to forget that.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, thanks. Many of you not daring to step outside in this bitter cold, but here's what happens if you do. Next at 5, see why these people braved the elements today.
Animals are being left outside in these extremely cold temperatures. I'm Lauren Becker, and coming up, hear how the South Bend Animal Care and Control is stepping up to help.
You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5:30.
Happening right now, millions of people, including all of us here at home, struggling to deal with the bitter cold that has overcome the region. The impact broad from travel to power outages and even deliveries. USPS suspending service in several areas.
Yeah, and other deliveries are also being impacted, including beer. Temperatures are so low, beer is actually freezing on trucks before it even gets delivered. Some breweries are using heated trucks, but many have even stopped deliveries entirely, hoping for a little warm-up.
And this is one that you have to see to believe. Dozens of hardcore running fans finishing a marathon in Minnesota in a wind chill of -52 at this point. Hundreds of racers have already dropped out, but right now, 7 are on the course. They have a little more than 1 hour to cross the finish line before being disqualified. That might be crazy.
A little bit.
And check this out, a hot shower creating snow inside a Chicago man's house.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to believe, right? The man tweeting, just took a shower and the steam froze around where the leaks are in my front door. This is just another demonstration of how cold it really is. Of course, this video quickly going viral online, picking up thousands of likes. All right, our team weather coverage of this brutal cold continues.
Matt's going to let us know when the Arctic air moves out, coming up next at 6.